If you have enough angular momentum, you can make an entire inertia effect of a property not even yours. Of lights, and if you had one angular momentum, it would be of a gravity potential, meaning you're above it a bit more. Essentially what a hitbox would allow you to do if it was a storybook written as a fairy tale. And then this one guy cost a lot, and if it's that expensive, that's a giant military weapon inside one Iron Man suit. This would be cheaper than one double its size because of the butane is less in it, not the casing around it. That's almost equal, given that a bigger size of it is just $1 extra, 100 single cents. There's one person who said that he saw a thing follow him and it was inside the air. If that had binoculars, that would be equal to someone in a van on the land far away. So bad it was worse than Mercury's red rocks that made its atmosphere deplete. Literally. And vacuums can be really cold or really hot if they're utilized in different aspect ratios, like if anything's combusting or doing whatever Sub-Zero does to make ice. So it would technically just be a hybrid steamroller going the speed of a fast motorcycle, like a Bugatti. The ones that Shawty Low RIP'd on, a Bugatti, was the same kind that was in Tron. And also Batman had one in his movie, the Tron bike, but without any lasers on it. Anything with enough force can be applied in a different manner. And if you hit a curb with your wheels, but you're going 200 miles per hour, your rims will be utilized as skates if it doesn't go over the curb. When something's turned off, it can always be a different route, and then you can benefit off of it if it is inducting a different thing from it. So you know when someone's like caught in an island and then they have no choice but to write the word SOS in the sand, and so they make it as big as they can? I thought it would be funny if someone was like making a design with their feet and they're like etching the Wonder Woman symbol, and I didn't want to say that until this occurred, and it's like she's mocking it too, but it would be funny if like they're trying the W over and over again and it was like no way right because she has a real specific one and they're trying to make the specific one, almost like the bat symbol when they shine like the bat signal. The guy would be trying to do the same thing with the etching like paint on his shoes, trying to make like the W on the ground to call her in, but he just kept getting the W wrong, but he kept doing it over and over again, and that would be kind of funny. My only thing is when they made the jump from the cartridges, VHS, to the CD, to the MP3, couldn't they do that with wires in charging so you could have like your phone charged with like your Bluetooth earbuds because they both have batteries? That's missing in the digital regime. It's just as when one of your valves in your heart explodes, your heart is gonna probably be able to pump like a few like cardio, like one more long cardio if you're like swimming, and that's like when you stop swimming, your heart will probably just stop. And I mentioned vehicles and timing belts because there's a lot of weight to that, and so the gravity behind all their fixtures is somewhat equal to our glands. You know, when their oil pan, it dries out and cracks, it's able to keep going, but then it'll eventually kill the entire car after it's done going. Or I think a hybrid action is capitalizing off a doubling effect. If you think someone's in line and then you just like them, so you go behind them and then they just leave, well, now you're in the disposition. A hybrid enactment, it's like, for example, when there's no turning point and there should have been, and then it's just delayed and drawn out. Like the hearing office giving me an earful.
How they're complaining the line of code still.
This in the app is also in different ways where only things can occur first. If you click one button, then the other buttons are not able to be clicked until the other ones are utilized. The ultimate case of this is if the screen freezes. Well, that's just like one giant frozen button, where the only button you have when that occurs is the off. And then if something's sewn in loosely, like a tapestry that's been put together by someone who's really weak, and so it'll be really loose, that's an orchestration of a certain type. That's a characteristic. You know, it's just like when you're shaving. You can shave small and it'll probably hurt if the razor's dull, but if you have like long pulls and you commit to the shave, then even with the dull razor, it can be like actually utilized properly. And this is nothing short when it comes to how a hot flash, certain roads where it just doesn't agree with the car, because your car within its timing belt has a well orchestrated dynamic where it handles much different than different cars that are not yet broken. And this is also when a road is laid, it has a certain dynamic, and you know that there's like certain roads that just don't agree with your vehicle. That's a real thing orchestrated, very similar to a hot flash, and it's just a hybrid of enactment. And altogether adhesion. Well, within your body, the glands, some of them have that similar property. And so what flavor inside of your body's construct is most preferable, whereas the bacteria in your body is not preferable. That's why it hawks up loogies, because it doesn't like the taste. It hawks up loogies once it doesn't like the taste. Where a heat flash is conducive to something in accordance of a Klein bottle, well, simply because it takes everything in the nearing surrounding, almost as what light does with the Mandela effect. However, this induces fault lines, where it's using the fault lines ostensibly as bottlenecking until it finds the loop. When it doesn't find a loop going into itself, it surprisingly achieves it by hot flashing, meaning getting the air and flipping it from the gas into a liquid. I think it would be so neat if you had a tapestry and then you like hit it just right and then it condensed to a diamond, because it's all there in the weaving and everything is able to condense and have a spontaneous combustion if it's attuned to a heat flash. Look at how far out it spans. If you have enough angular momentum, you can make an entire inertia effect of a property not even yours. Behind me is an array of lights, and if you had one angular momentum, it would be of a gravity potential, meaning you're above it a bit more. And so the symmetry of all the ones, since they're equal on its linear and horizontal region at bottom of the tent, You could align all of them into the one at the top if you had enough inertia from angular momentum. That's essentially what a hitbox would allow you to do if it was a storybook written as a fairy tale. And then this one guy was able to throw a light bulb and have an entire tent pop up under it. But then Iron Man did that with his suit, but only made it a bullet, and that bullet exploded and took out giant monsters like King Kong or Moby Dick. Because under the tent, you could just put a whole bunch of fluid. If it doesn't cost a lot, and if it's that expensive, that's a giant military weapon inside one Iron Man suit.